Are the rats about to jump ship? In a bizarre photo opportunity, astronaut Edwin Buzz Aldrin is shown wearing a Get Your Ass to Mars t-shirt while standing in front of Stonehenge. The following is the tweet. Yesterday I decided to send a message to the cosmos. I'm the biggest kid on the Nat Geo Kids floor. I have a new Mars Kids book coming September. Stay tuned. #Mars. My crewmate from Gemini 12, Jim Lovell, is on board with #Get Your Ass to Mars. Do you have your Get Your Ass to Mars tee yet? I had the pleasure of visiting my friend Stephen Hawking at his home today on this Pi Day. He was very welcoming to my family. He didn't say much. My mission director and my mascots, Logan and Brielle, Stephen, Marilyn Monroe, and I agree. Get Your Ass to Mars t-shirts, $19.99. On the surface, this may seem like a joke or harmless fun, but let's take a deeper look into the significance of this photo, what the t-shirt really means, and who Aldrin is ultimately pledging his allegiance to. Aldrin was a 32nd degree Scottish Rite Freemason initiate at the time of his alleged Apollo 11 moon landing on July 20th, 1969. In Greek mythology, Apollo, son of Zeus, is associated with Hermes and Lucifer. He is also Amen-Ra and Baal. As you read on, you'll see how Lucifer is intrinsically tied to Freemasonry. According to an article entitled Buzz Aldrin, a Mason, Aldrin is a Scottish Rite Mason and took a handmade silk flag to the moon and back, donating it to the House of the Temple. Buzz Aldrin is a Freemason, a member of Montclair Lodge No. 144 of New Jersey, and Clear Lake Lodge No. 1417 of Texas. Buzz Aldrin is a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason, a Masonic Knight Templar, and a Shriner. Astronaut Neil Armstrong carefully took out his Masonic apron and held it up for the cameras over his spacesuit, as if to cover his genitals area to the power center, or Luciferian energy in Masonic ritual. Today, a photograph of Armstrong holding his occultic apron hangs on a wall at the House of the Temple, the sanctuary of the Scottish Rite in Washington, D.C. Next, Brother Edwin Buzz Aldrin, at the time a 32-degree Masonic initiate, planted on the moon's surface the real flag intended for honor, the flag the Apollo 11 had carried in its storage compartment, the flag with the Scottish Rite's emblem of deep and mysterious spirituality, the double-headed eagle. Mars goes on to state the significance of the eagle has landed. The phoenix bird, the double-headed eagle. This, then, was the esoteric, but hidden and encoded meaning of the name Eagle for the lander. The Kabbalistic ritual script called for elevated man, initiated God-man, to ride the black phoenix bird, the eagle to glory, upward toward the sun. God-man was to make his nest among the stars, which decorate the black-garbed night, amidst the daytime canopy of the blue sky, or the Blue Lodge. In Freemasonry, Christianity is observed at the lower levels, but once you get to the highest levels, there is worship of the Luciferian doctrine. This is why the double-headed eagle is seen in the 32nd degree logo saying, Deus Munque Jus, which means God in my right. On July 14th, 1889, Albert Pike, a Grand Commander of Universal Freemasonry, made clear the reasons for all the lies and secrecy when he said, "That which we must say to the crowd is we worship a God, but it is the God that one adores without superstition. To you sovereign Grand Inspectors General, we say this, that you may repeat it to the brethren of the 32nd, 31st, and 30th degrees. The Masonic religion should be, by all of us initiates in the high degrees, maintained in the purity of the Luciferian doctrine. That's from Albert Pike, folks. The esoteric meaning of Deus Mimque Jus goes much deeper. There is one meaning within another in this statement. The first meaning is that the Freemason can depend upon their God to determine their right and justice. The second meaning is, since the god of Freemasonry is Lucifer, Masons are saying that they are using occult methods through Lucifer to achieve their rights and justice. This phrase is very powerful and dangerous within Satanism, says Marquise. A Satanist knows the context with Pike's book in Satanism just by reading Deus Mimque Jus. They don't even have to read the book, just the phrase, to know. The 33rd degree motto is Ordo ab Chaos, which means order out of chaos. Look around you and what do you see? Everything is backwards and upside down. The bird on this motto is a double-headed phoenix, symbolically rising from the ashes of destruction. According to Manly P. Hall, among the ancients, a fabulous bird called the phoenix is described by early writers. In size and shape, it resembles the eagle, but with certain differences. The body of the phoenix is one covered with glossy purple feathers, and the plumes in its tail are alternately blue and red. The head of the bird is light in color, and about its neck is a circlet of golden plumage. At the back of its back, the phoenix has a crest of feathers of brilliant color. The phoenix, it is said, lives for 500 years, and at its death its body opens and the newborn phoenix emerges. Because of this symbolism, the phoenix is generally regarded as representing immortality and resurrection. The phoenix is one sign of the secret orders of the ancient world and of the initiate of those orders, for it was common to refer to one who had been accepted into the temples as a man twice born or reborn. Wisdom confers a new life, and those who become wise are born again. The following is extracted from Freemason founder Albert Pike in his letter to Mazzini. The Third World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences caused by the Argatur, the Illuminati between the political Zionists and the leaders of the Islamic world. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam and political Zionism mutually destroy each other. Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on this issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economical exhaustion. We shall unleash the nihilists and the atheists, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm, which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism, origin of savagery, and the most bloody turmoil. Then everywhere the citizens, obliged to defend themselves against a world minority of revolutionaries, will exterminate those destroyers of civilization, and the multitude, disillusioned with the Christianity, deistic spirits will from that moment be without compass or direction, anxious for an ideal, but without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out in the public view. This manifestation will result from the general reactionary movement, which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time. What does Aldrin's t-shirt mean, and what is the significance of Mars? The first thing that comes to mind when seeing Aldrin wearing this t-shirt is that this phrase is a code word for all systems go. Aldrin is basically saying these are the proverbial end times, and that it's time to inhabit elsewhere as this planet is being terraformed on a daily basis, through chemtrails, nuclear war, nuclear waste, etc., in order to appease their overlords who sit at the top of the pyramid that controls humanity. There may also be a hint to the current state of Orion Wars that have been going on for millennia. According to the work of Wayne Herschel, Stonehenge is a massive Orion geoglyph. The winter-born Stoke Barrows represent the Pleiades, and Stonehenge marks on the ground the X star that marks the spot. The meaning of Stonehenge appears to be the representation of the star very near the Pleiades stars, the star of the gods of the ancient, so to speak. Flesh and blood visitors, also tied in our ancestors who were mistakenly worshipped as gods. The following is an excerpt from an article Paul D. Burley entitled Stonehenge Womb of Earth, Doorway to Orion. They define Orion's doorway across the henge, centering Orion's belt near the altar stone at the center of the monument. The symbolism is clear. The Sky King and the Womb of Earth are brought together for the purpose of ensuring continuation of life on our world. This confirms a widely held view that penetration of first sunlight into Stonehenge on the morning of summer solstice may represent conception of new life year after year. It's interesting to note that this picture was taken during the month of March. If you trace etymology of March, you get the following. Named from the Roman god Mars, who was the god of war and guardian of the state. Mars was the father of Romulus and Remus. If Stonehenge is the gateway to Orion and Aldrin is suggesting to get your ass to Mars, then is it possible that the Orion Wars have ramped up? In alchemy, there is saying, as above, so below. If there are ongoing wars above us, then is it possible that this picture is a message to begin World War III? It all fits within Freemason Albert Pike's message of how World War III will be initiated, but this is not likely scenario in this writer's opinion. A very feasible possibility that the rats are leaving the ship. While many people may see this as a precursor to World War III, this may also be the proverbial shit hitting the fan. Not for us, but for them. Perhaps it's time for the draconian reptilian controllers to leave this planet once and for all. We're in the middle of Pluto's transition of Capricorn, which began in 2008 and ends in March of 2023. Pluto is known as the Destroyer, and will tear down everything that is not in humanity's best interests. The last time Pluto was in Capricorn was during both the French and American revolutions in the 1700s. If you look around the world, what do you see? Revolutions. This is not a coincidence. When Pluto entered Capricorn in 2008, we saw a collapse of the banking system with the exception of the too-big-to-fail jail banks. Maybe Aldrin's t-shirt is a message related to the riddance of those who have kept us suppressed for hundreds of years. Hopefully this is part of the Pluto and Capricorn cleansing process. Perhaps this simply is a harmless distraction, but I seriously doubt it. What do you think get your ass to Mars means? Here's a quick update on Buzz Aldrin in Antarctica. The strange visitors over the past couple months, years. It began with the visit of Russian Orthodox Patriarch of Moscow Kirill III, a visit followed by Secretary of State John Kerry at the height of the American presidential election. Remember that? Which also occurred during an otherwise predominantly diplomatic tour. Then, as I noted in the news and views, this was followed by the most recent visit of former Apollo 11 astronaut Buzz Aldrin, who had to be medically evacuated, so we're told, as his condition had deteriorated. We were not, of course, informed that Mr. Aldrin even had a condition much less from what it had deteriorated. Aldrin does follow a string of such medical evacuations, which similarly were told a little about after the fact. All of this only highlights the strangeness of the southernmost continent and of the strange list of people associated. It now includes the following very bizarre list: Rudolf Hess, Nazi Party, Reichsleiter, Hermann Goering, Reichsmarshal and founder of the Luftwaffe, both of whom played sponsoring roles for the Nazi expedition to the continent 1938-1939. Admiral Richard Byrd, who incidentally had been flown to Nazi Germany to brief the expedition on conditions it could expect, and who led the Operation High Jump in 1947. The outcome of that expedition, of Admiral Byrd's strange remarks at the end of it to the Chilean newspaper El Mercurio, need not be rehearsed again here. Then in the past few months, we've seen added to this list Patriarch Kirill III, the only Christian bishop and hierarch ever to visit the continent, followed within a few months by John Kerry, the highest-ranking political figure ever to visit there short of a head of state, and now Buzz Aldrin, moon astronaut. Hess, Goering, Byrd, Kirill, Kerry, and Aldrin. The list cannot be more bizarre. All that's missing would seem to be the visits of the Queen, the Japanese Emperor, the Pope, the Dalai, and Panchen Lamas, a couple Ayatollahs, a Grand Rabbi, a yogi or two, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and Benito Mussolini's heirs. And at this stage, I wouldn't be surprised to find any of them making a sudden tourist visit. There seems to be more to this odd story that has been brought to my attention. The words themselves are simple, yet thought-provoking. Here's Buzz Aldrin's tweet prior to the departure. "We're ready to go to Antarctica. Maybe our last opportunity to tweet for a few days. We're go for departure to the launch pad." Of course, these words can be read for what they are, nothing significant. Just a retired astronaut using the rhetorical language of a thrilling departure for an exciting voyage in terms he's accustomed to. But equally in my penchant for high-octane speculation and given their wider context of strange people associated with Antarctica, the words "go for departure to the launch pad" could be seen in a very different way, for they can be taken to imply that Antarctica is some sort of launch pad. This of course conjures all strange myths of UFOs, Nazi or otherwise, outlandish hollow earth theories, and other arcana associated with the southern continent. Lest I be misunderstood, I'm not a subscriber to the Nazi survival and secret UFO research base in Antarctica theory, and certainly not a subscriber to the standard hollow earth theories, but the language is strange in a continent associated with strangeness. Aldrin's choice of words only highlight, rather than diminish the strangeness of the place, the events, and the people associated with it. But there's more. According to this article shared by Miss Biz, it seems that early on in the Obama administration, President Obama proposed extending current treaty agreements about tourism to Antarctica and wanted to limit tourism to the continent. And hey, it's high on pretty much everyone's list as a tourist destination. Obama calls for limits on tourism to Antarctica. Host of the Arctic and Antarctic conferences, Hillary Rodham Clinton. Apparently, Mr. Aldrin and Secretary Kerry didn't get that email. Perhaps WikiLeaks did. But after all, they're not ordinary tourists by any stretch of the imagination. Neither are Admiral Byrd or Patriarch Kirill, who also apparently didn't get that email. This is another case of you tell me, but it seems fairly clear that the high strangeness associated with the place that at least since Hearn Hess and Goering set their eyes on hasn't abated. Something is going on down there, and it's high time we're told what it is. After all, they have nothing to fear for having lied about magic bullets, the USS Maine, and a whole host of other things. Who would believe them anyway? This is Dumbo Truth. I gotta clear my throat.